As a male, your ability to maintain and to get an erection is a point of concern by default. Many of us even get anxious at the mention of the subject. But did you know that there are 3 different types of genital arousal? Well, here to expound on that is Dr. Neil Gardner.
So let's talk about the 3 different types of genital arousal. This is something that I didn't even know. So I'm sharing it with you as well because maybe you didn't know it either. But there are 3 different types of genital arousal. One is the psychogenic erection. What's the psychogenic erection? As its name suggests, psychogenic means that it's an arousal that occurs from your thoughts or from your mind or from your fantasies. It is the kind of arousal where you think about something sexual and then you notice that you start to develop or begin to have an erection. The other type is called the reflex erection. The reflex erection relies heavily on tactile stimulation, which is stimulation from rubbing or touching of the genitalia itself or of different zones on the body that will be, your little spots. If the wife kisses you here, you know that, yeah man, we're going to turn you on. So these are tactile stimulation, but that requires a different area of your spine in order for it to work. And then there's a third type of arousal, which is called the nocturnal erection, which is what happens at night. It happens as a result of our rapid eye motion sleep. When we're in that deep sleep state, we may have an erection occur. Now, they are each under different mechanisms. But if the problem that you have that prevents you from having an erection is circulatory in nature, meaning that it's a blood vessel problem where you've had long-standing heart disease or cardiovascular disease or long-standing untreated diabetes that have left the small capillaries and blood vessels in the penis damaged, then it doesn't matter what type of arousal you seek to have, the erection will not take place. But if the problem is not with the circulatory system, but it is with some other influence, then it's possible for the erection to occur. But the problem is it may not occur when you want it to occur. You may only be able to have an erection when you sleep and not when you're consciously awake, because as I indicated before, they occur in different ways by different mechanisms. Now here's an important point I want to point out, is that the psychogenic erection is of poorer quality, meaning that your penis will not be as firm as it's supposed to be. Now, if you find that when you wake up in the morning you have a good morning erection, then you know that your problem is not the plumbing, it's not the circulation. The problem might be neurological in some way, or it might be because of problems in your relationship or something else. But some men will notice that their erection is kind of semi there but not really fully there. And if this is your situation, then you probably are able to experience a psychogenic erection, which is you are turned on, but for whatever reason, the reflex erection is not able to take over and give you that good solid erection, which is you probably might not be feeling the sensitivity of the touch as you used to, or there might be some issue with the signal getting to your erection, to your penis, from the area that governs this behavior. So I'm going to go back to the previous slide here because I want you to kind of see what comes from. So the reflex erection comes from the lower part here in your low back, your tailbone. And the psychogenic one comes from the lower part of your thoracic spine to the top part of your lumbar spine. It's not even in the very lower part of the back. It's actually just below the mid-back region. It's called the thoracolumbar spine. This is where the psychogenic part comes from, which actually gets injured less frequently than does your low back. And so one has to be mindful, because if you allow your low back to become impacted by traumas of various types, then you can be in trouble with your ability to achieve your erection. So here we go. Let's discuss this, because I want you to kind of get the significance. The thoracogenic part comes from the mid-back region, which is the region where your sympathetic fibers dominate. This is your stress response fibers. Now please understand this. If you have a problem in your spine, a lot of times what ends up happening to people when they have a problem in their spine is that the irritation to their spine causes the nerves to first reduce in their function. So you'll find that they don't fire as often as they should, or as powerfully as they should. And then as the nerve starts to get closer to death, then it starts to fire too much. It starts to overstimulate itself so as to prevent itself from dying. So you will notice, gentlemen, that if it is that you have a problem in that middle part of your back that governs the psychogenic part of your erection, that may cause your sympathetic system, your stress system, to become engaged. Remember that stress system overpowers your parasympathetic erection system. Your stress system suppresses your erection. And so you find that your erection is not as strong. It's just the poorer quality psychogenic erection. But that's not the only problem. Oftentimes, when you have that system becoming overstimulated, you will find that since or because the ejaculation part of it comes from the sympathetic system, you find that you ejaculate too easily. As for some men, it doesn't even take penetration for ejaculation to occur. And usually for these men, their erections are not as solid. And so the best solution for premature ejaculation is a strong erection. And so if you're the kind of person who, you have premature ejaculation as a problem, try your best to avoid penetration until you feel that your erection is really, really strong. When your erection is really, really strong, and if you relax enough and you stay in that present moment, not thinking about your erection, but thinking about the woman and what it is that you're doing, then you will realize that that strength of erection will keep the ejaculation under better control. There are many things that we can talk about to help with premature ejaculation from a medical counseling side of it, but that's one very good way to do it. So don't try to enter too quickly. Take some time, make sure to set the pot well hot before you're putting the plant into fry, so to speak. And that's true. You don't want to put plant in cold oil. It will suck up all of the oil and sappy, and we don't want that. We want it to be hard and dry, so to speak. So let's move on, because I'm about ready to finish up here. There is something here we talked about, and that is just the ejaculation part of it. That ejaculation is primarily sympathetic in nature, which is your stress system. And if that system is intact, then you will be able to have your normal ejaculation. If there's a problem with that system and it doesn't work well, then your ejaculations will not happen. And then there are men who are on the opposite end of the spectrum who have delayed ejaculation, or they are unable to ejaculate at all. And there are different health consequences that can cause that. And so we want persons to be able to understand their situations, understand the limitations, understand how the body works, to be able to make the most out of their life experiences. If you are having challenges with ejaculation, what are some of the things that could be, not ejaculation, but erection, what are some of the things that could actually be used to promote a better, more long-lasting erection and a successful orgasm or ejaculation at the end? So these are very important things that we want or meant to be aware of. Now, how do we injure our tailbones? How do we injure our low back? That may impact these things, and then what can be done to correct them? Well, we already know, because of the marketing done by pharmaceutical companies, we know that there are many drugs on the market that are great at helping different types of erectile dysfunction. But if your erectile dysfunction is not caused by a circulation issue, then what may end up happening is that you're taking a drug for something and it makes no difference for you. So if you're taking one of the many known drugs that should open up blood vessels or allow them to dilate, and you're still not having an erection, maybe something else is wrong. It could be something as simple as pressure on one of the lower nerves of the spine that go to that area to stimulate or cause the blood vessels to now open up. These are the autonomic fibers that control blood vessels. Or it may be that you have something that is completely closing off the signal, or something that is affecting the ability of the blood vessels to operate normally if it's something affecting the blood vessels. So a fall, many people have slips and falls. I know construction workers who fell off ladders and land on their buttocks, or people who slide and fall on their buttocks. This is one of the most common ways that one can injure their sacrum or their tailbone, their coccyx. If you injure your tailbone or your coccyx, it may impair or interfere with any other different types of erection that we talked about. It may affect any of them. And so you have to be careful, because if you injure down your tailbone down here, you will notice that your ability to feel the sensations on your penis might be compromised. Your ability to feel the normal sensations on your scrotum might be compromised. The perineum, which is the area between your anus and your scrotum, that area there is also under the similar kind of stimulation or nerve control. And so if you have a problem in those areas as a result of a fall, you can affect sensation in that entire region of your pelvis. It may also even affect your ability to pass stool or so on. So these are things that we do not take for granted because of their wide-ranging impact.